Despite booming popularity in the 1990s, the road for Logan's Roadhouse has been rocky ever since, bouncing repeatedly from one owner to the next. What happened? Keep watching to find out. All told, Logan's Roadhouse got off to a good start. The first restaurant opened in Lexington, Kentucky in 1991. The founder was David Wachtel, previous CEO of restaurant chain Shoney's. With that kind of experience, you'd think that Wachtel's leadership would set Logan's Roadhouse up for success, and he did, for a while. Wachtel and team grew the chain at a slow pace and were known for rigorous standards for each and every location.
Logan's Roadhouse, where the fire lives.
Sales climbed quickly, and by 1995, Logan's Roadhouse was in an enviable financial position. This could be partially credited to the chain's low management turnover. Rather than requiring managers to work 60-hour weeks, as was common at other chains, Logan's only required its management to work 45 to 50-hour weeks. One of Logan's Roadhouse's most famous menu items? The famous yeast rolls. These rolls sell at a rate of 98 million rolls per year, according to the brand. They first came to Logan's restaurants courtesy of a team member named Brenda in the summer of 1991, not long after the first location in Lexington, Kentucky opened. You can find loads of copycat recipes online for Logan's yeasty rolls, but replicating the unique taste and flavor isn't exactly easy. As Eat This, Not That can attest, home bakers can try creating replicate rolls with milk powder, dry yeast, honey, and butter, but the result is never quite the same. Still, each one of these fluffy buns comes in at a whopping 200 calories, so they're not quite as innocent and heavenly as they might taste, especially once Logan started offering them as a bun replacement for the brand's burgers and other sandwiches.
Because this is Logan's, where block party meets backyard barbecue.
But Logan's isn't only famous for its dinner rolls. In 1993, the restaurant chain debuted one of its other top-selling items, its famous Roadhouse Tea, which it sells at a rate of 2 million drinks per year, according to the brand. If that seems a little low, it's worth noting that this is not your average sweet or unsweetened tea. Instead, Roadhouse Tea is a take on a Long Island iced tea, and it certainly packs a punch. According to Reddit, a Roadhouse Tea is 1 part rum, 1 part gin, 1 part triple sec, and 1 part pure grain alcohol, all topped off with a little sweet and sour and a splash of Coke. Within a decade of its founding, Logan's Roadhouse would be considered a success. According to Funding Universe, the average Logan's location was bringing in about $3.5 million annually in 1997. Logan's Roadhouse had also received high praise from industry publications, being called one of the hottest concepts in the restaurant industry, as well as one of the top small businesses in the United States by both Forbes and Businessweek. In 1995, Logan's went public, and by the end of 1996, Logan's stock price had risen by more than 100%, putting the brand at the top of the pack for stock appreciation among casual restaurants. By the end of 1998, Logan's Roadhouse was operating more than 40 locations across 12 states. Annual sales were around $100 million, a 50% increase from 1997. However, rather than keep that success internal, the brand decided to sell. Having reached admirable heights of success in less than a decade, Logan's Roadhouse decided to sell out, accepting an acquisition offer from CBRL Group, the parent company of Cracker Barrel Old Country Store. At the time, Cracker Barrel was much bigger than Logan's, with nearly 400 units around the country. However, CBRL Group allowed Logan's to continue functioning as a separate entity after the $179 million purchase. At the time, CBRL Group was also growing its Carmine Giardini's Gourmet Market brand, but it still focused on growing Logan's further, with nearly 25 new locations planned for 1999 and 2000. Still, this growth wasn't enough to keep Logan's on its successful trajectory that had started way back in 1991 with David Wachtel. CBRL Group sold Carmine Giardini's in 2001 and went on to close some of its underperforming restaurants, which included both Logan's Roadhouse and Cracker Barrel locations. Not long after CBRL Group sold off Carmine Giardini's Gourmet Market, it also sold off Logan's Roadhouse. In a 2006 press release, CBRL Group announced that it would be selling Logan's Roadhouse to a private equity investment firm, Bruckman Rosser Sherrill & Company Incorporated. The transaction amounted to approximately $486 million, though CBRL Group only took home $385 million. Upon the sale, CBRL's chairman, president, and CEO called the transaction a major strategic milestone, and that it planned to use roughly $350 million of the money made from the sale to buy up $250 million of its own stock. Still, all things considered, Logan's Roadhouse wasn't doing terribly. In 2003, the brand opened its 100th location, and in 2006, it launched its loyalty club, the Nutty Club. Logan's Roadhouse has experienced a long line of owners. While Bruckman Rosser Sherrill & Company Incorporated boasts a portfolio that includes a lot of casual restaurant chains, such as California Pizza Kitchen and Golden Corral, it eventually passed off the Logan's brand. This was only after about 3 years of ownership and following a $200 million initial public offering intended to pay down debt and afford some more expansion. The new owners? Kelso, another private equity firm. Kelso, however, at the time, did not have the same track record with restaurants that BRS boasted, focusing primarily on retail and consumer investments. Its only experience managing a restaurant chain was when it owned a stake in IHOP in the 1980s. While over the next few years, Logan's managed to grow to a chain of about 250 restaurants with locations in 50 states and nearly 20,000 employees, Logan's Roadhouse still hit financial troubles within 6 years. The money problems started in 2016 with Kelso at the helm. Over the first half of 2016, sales declined, with traffic falling by more than 8% and sales falling by 4%. In August, Logan's Roadhouse filed for bankruptcy and closed nearly 20 underperforming restaurants. According to a statement, the closures were part of the overall efforts to improve the company's financial performance, and a plan was in place to assist employees in closing restaurants, reassigning employees to other Logan's restaurants, and providing them with assistance with applying for jobs. The bankruptcy filings resulted in $25 million in financing for a restructuring plan, which included the stepping down of the brand's CEO at the time. However, the $25 million in financing seemed paltry in comparison to the chain's $416 million in debts, owed to as many as 25,000 creditors. The largest debt was to National Retail Properties, to whom Logan's Roadhouse owed more than $500,000. As you could possibly expect by this point, Kelso didn't hold on to Logan's Roadhouse for very long either, especially once the finances went south. 2 years after filing for bankruptcy, Kelso sold Logan's Roadhouse in 2018 to a company with a little more experience in the food and dining space, Craftworks Restaurants and Breweries. At the time of the sale, the Logan's brand had been reduced from 250 restaurants in 50 states to 204 restaurants in 22 states. With a brand new CEO and another near 200 restaurants already under its belt, Craftworks was seemingly well equipped to take over Logan's, though it was not disclosed exactly how much Craftworks paid Kelso for the brand. Unfortunately, things would not remain so optimistic. While Craftworks was optimistic about its future with Logan's Roadhouse, things didn't turn out as planned, especially when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. In early March of 2020, the Craftworks Holdings CEO had said that the fiscal quarter was, quote, off to a solid start. But then, by late March, things had turned sour. Later that month, Craftworks filed for bankruptcy after shutting down numerous restaurant locations across its portfolio, with the intention of continuing to operate all of its other locations. However, shortly after pandemic-related shutdowns began in April 2020, Craftworks closed others and laid off some 18,000 employees, cutting expenses to the bare minimum in an effort to maintain as much value as possible for post-pandemic times. In fact, all corporate-owned locations were closed, and Craftworks only kept on a corporate staff of 25 people to keep the lights on for the foreseeable future.
How we managed to pull the short straw?
It's not a short straw. It's a hot potato.
Craftworks' response to its financial and business woes was to simply sell Logan's Roadhouse. Later in 2020, Craftworks sold its properties to Fortress Investment Group and SBP Hospitality for $93 million. Almost immediately, SPB Hospitality began reopening locations, and as of mid-2020, 103 company-owned and 25 franchised Logan's Roadhouses were open, though a greater switch was made to off-premises dining, including delivery and carry-out. Employees were also rehired. SPB Hospitality had previously also acquired Crystal, following the chain's recent bankruptcy, and the company's CEO, Mark Buehler, has remained positive regarding Logan's Roadhouse's future, saying in an interview, "We've got a really dedicated group of people that are focused specifically on their concepts. They're excited about what the challenges are in front of them and where we can go with these brands." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.